Every time we board a plane, we trust an invisible system of safety and engineering. That trust is built on airworthiness certification, the most demanding exam in aviation. This isn't a simple inspection, it's a multi-year marathon of tests, analysis, and documentation. Every component, from rivets to flight computers, is scrutinized to prove the aircraft can survive extreme weather, system failures, and more. The process is unforgiving because the stakes are life and death. There are no second chances at 35,000 feet. Certification standards are written in blood, updated after every lesson learned from past accidents. To pass, designers must not only meet current standards but anticipate future risks, pushing planes far beyond normal limits. For newcomers, the challenge is even greater. Building a safe plane is one thing, but proving it to the world's toughest regulators is another. For China, certifying its first homegrown jet, the ARJ21, was more than a technical project. It was a national quest to prove it could master aviation's ultimate test. The journey would test China's engineers, pilots, and leaders in ways they never imagined. In aviation, the rules are set by the US FAA and Europe's EASA, global gold standards. If a plane wants to fly internationally, it must earn their approval, creating a high barrier for new manufacturers. These standards are built on a century of experience, accident investigations, and deep technical infrastructure. Most countries simply adopt FAA or EASA rules, meaning even a nationally certified plane faces a second, grueling review for global acceptance. For China's ARJ21, this meant the Civil Aviation Administration of China, CAAC, had to prove its process was as rigorous as the West's. In a bold move, the CAAC invited the FAA to shadow the ARJ21 certification, letting American experts scrutinize every test and decision. This transparency was a gamble to build credibility, but it also exposed gaps in experience and understanding. The FAA's probing questions revealed differences in philosophy and approach, forcing the Chinese team to learn not just the rules, but the reasoning behind them. The process was a crash course in global aviation standards, with every step watched by the world's toughest judges. For the ARJ21 to succeed, China had to bridge not just technical gaps, but cultural and institutional ones. It was about more than passing a test. It was about earning a seat at the global aviation table. The stakes couldn't have been higher. The ARJ21 project was China's bid to move from manufacturing for others to designing its own high-value products. Launched in 2002, the goal was a modern regional jet for China's booming air market. The plan combined the best global components, GE engines, Rockwell Collins avionics, into a new Chinese airframe. But integrating these systems was a massive challenge. COMAC had to prove it could make them work together safely. Unlike Boeing or Airbus, COMAC had no legacy, no deep well of experience, and no established relationship with regulators. Every step from design to test flight was uncharted territory, leading to delays and intense scrutiny. The FAA demanded exhaustive documentation and proof that COMAC's engineers understood every detail. Simple tests stretched for months as the team worked to satisfy regulators' demands. The initial timeline slipped, and skeptics doubted China could pull it off. The dream was airborne, but the path to reality was anything but clear. The ARJ21 faced over 300 ground tests and 5,000 hours of flight testing, each designed to push the plane to its limits. One major hurdle: the natural icing test. The team chased storms across China and North America, seeking the perfect, dangerous conditions. In Canada and the US, the ARJ21 finally faced severe icing, with sensors and cameras documenting every moment. Another dramatic trial: crosswind landings in Iceland, where fierce winds tested both the plane and its pilots. Other tests included rejected takeoffs, slamming on the brakes at high speed, and water ingestion, ensuring engines wouldn't fail in heavy rain. Each test generated mountains of data for the CAAC and FAA to review. The process was slow, methodical, and exhausting, testing not just the aircraft but the team's endurance. Every success was hard-won, every setback a lesson in resilience. Among the most dangerous tests is the flight flutter test, where vibrations can destroy a plane in seconds. Pilots pushed the ARJ21 to the edge, using devices to trigger vibrations and monitoring if they decayed safely. During one test, unexpected data showed the plane was closer to disaster than models predicted. The FAA advisors immediately called for a halt, trusting real-world data over theory. This sparked debate. Chinese engineers trusted their models, but the FAA insisted on caution. The incident forced COMAC to re-examine assumptions, refine models, and adopt a more conservative approach. Months of extra work followed, but the lesson was clear: in aviation, humility and experience matter as much as engineering. When the tests resumed, the team advanced step by step, validating every result. The scare made the ARJ21 safer and the team wiser. Certifying the ARJ21 was a political act as much as a technical one, a declaration of China's technological ambition. In a world dominated by Boeing and Airbus, the ARJ21 was China's bid to join the elite club. Every delay and setback was scrutinized, fueling skepticism about China's capabilities. The pressure on COMAC and KAC was immense. Any mistake could set the project back years. Yet, each test passed built pride and resilience within the team. When the CAAC finally granted certification in December 2014, it was a moment of national celebration. The FAA's involvement lent credibility, even if it didn't grant its own certificate. The achievement was about more than one plane. It was about building a system and proving China's place in aviation. The certificate was a beginning, not an end. The ARJ21's true legacy is the experience gained, a national apprenticeship in world-class aviation. The program taught China that safety is more than engineering. It's a culture of documentation, transparency, and trust. These hard-won lessons paved the way for the C919, China's next more ambitious jet. The relationships built with the FAA and the expertise gained de-risked future projects. The ARJ21 created a domestic aviation ecosystem, training pilots, engineers, and regulators. While its global impact is still limited, its strategic importance is immense. The goal was never just one plane, but an entire industry. By conquering the learning curve, China laid the runway for its aviation future.